Good morning to everyone. This is Sania. I'm studying in 10th class in Brilliant Model School in Mancherial. Today we are going to do one of
What makes a person more happier than a flower? Yes, flower. Generally, most of the people like flowers. Most of the boys, most of the girls, they love flowers. Flowers are the link to a person's happiness. They can relieve stress, lift up your spirit, they can give you peace and ease away the depression symptoms and anxiety. Some flowers are bisexual, that is, both reproductive organs are present, like rose. And some flowers are unisexual, that is, reproductive organs present on different plants. Example, pine. The transfer of pollen grains from Androecium to gynoecium is called pollination. Self-pollination occurs when the pollen grain from anther is deposited on the stigma of the same flower or another flower on the same plant. Cross-pollination is the transfer of pollen from the anther of one flower to the stigma of another flower or different individual of the same species. Fertilization in flowering plants happens through a process called pollination. Pollination occurs when pollen grains from the anther land on a stigma. Fertilization occurs when one of the sperm cells fuses with the egg inside of an ovule. After the fertilization occurs, each ovule develops into a seed. At the time of fertilization, there will be a total of 7 cells arranged in 3 groups in a mature embryo sac. There is 1 egg, female gamete, 2 syngrids, 1 central cell, secondary or polar nucleus, and 3 antipodals. While all these cells are in haploid in condition, only the polar nucleus is diploid, 2n. This is due to the fusion of 2 nuclei. These syngrids are also known as helper cells. Fertilization is a process of fusion of male and female gametes. For the fusion of pollen grains have to reach the surface of the stigma. This is called, of course, pollination. Pollen grains received by the stigma germinate and give rise to the pollen tubes. The pollen tube has 2 male nucleus. Usually the pollen grain enters the ovule through micropyle and discharges the 2 male gametes into the embryo sac. 1 male nucleus gamete approaches the egg and fuses with it to form diploid, 2n. Zygote. This is called first fertilization. The other male nucleus reaches the secondary nucleus, 2n, or polar nucleus, and fuses with it to form endosperm nucleus, which will be a triploid. This is second fertilization. Thus, double fertilization occurs in the embryo sac. The changes after the double fertilization. After the double fertilization, the ovule increases in size rapidly as a result of the formation of endosperm tissue by mitosis. Thus, the embryo develops. The embryo consists of 1 or more cotyledons. The cotyledons develops by utilizing the food stored in the endosperm. The cotyledons of some flowering plants, for example beans, digest, absorb and store the food from the endosperm as the ovule is maturing into a seed. As a consequence, the cotyledons become greatly enlarged because of stored food, and the endosperm disappears more or less completely. Many other flowering plants, such as corn or castor, the endosperm tissue continues to grow as the ovule matures into a seed. After fertilization, the zygote divides several times to form an embryo within the ovule. The ovule develops a tough coat and is generally converted into a seed. The ovary grows rapidly and ripens to form the fruit. Meanwhile, the other floral parts may shrivel and fall off. The seed produced after fertilization contains the future plant or the embryo that develops into a seedling under appropriate conditions. This process is called as seed germination. Thank you for giving this opportunity.
If you need like these important matters, please subscribe my channel, like and share it. Thank you everybody.